know what's crazy? Most people walk around every single day answering the question, who are you? With what they do, not with who they are. Someone asks, who are you? And you say, a student. I'm a teacher. I'm a manager. I'm an athlete. But that's not who you are. That's just what you do. You're not your grades. You're not your job title. You're not your failures. You're not even your accomplishments. Those things change. You fail a test, lose a job, break a record, get an award, and suddenly people see you differently. But when all of that is stripped away, when there's no applause, no title, no one watching, who are you then? See, this is where real education begins. Education isn't just about memorizing formulas, passing exams, or collecting degrees. It's about discovering the truth about yourself, your strengths, your values, your mindset, your limits, and how far you're willing to push past them. Some of you know every detail about history, math, and science, but you haven't taken 5 minutes to study yourself. You can quote every theory in the book, but can you explain why you quit every time it gets hard? You can solve complex problems on paper, but can you solve the war going on inside you between who you are and who you're pretending to be? You've got to stop defining yourself by external stuff, because if you live by people's approval, you'll die by their rejection. When you don't know who you are, anybody can tell you what you're worth, and you'll believe them. You'll chase every label they throw at you. Cool, smart, talented, average, worthless, because you never stopped long enough to define yourself. But when you know who you are, when you're grounded in your identity, people can't shake you. They can criticize you, laugh at you, misunderstand you, but they can't control you. The real you is built in silence, in discipline, in the moments when nobody's clapping. It's built when you study for the grade, but for the growth. It's built when you show up early, stay late, do more than you're asked to, not because somebody's watching, but because that's who you are. You're a person of integrity, a person who doesn't need validation to do what's right. That's what separates the average from the great, not talent, not opportunity, but identity. So ask yourself, if I lost everything, the titles, the recognition, the followers, the trophies, who would I still be? Because until you can answer that with confidence, you're living a borrowed identity. You're letting society tell you what success looks like instead of defining it for yourself. That's why people spend their whole lives chasing something that never fills them. Money, fame, approval, because they never stopped to figure out who they were without it. The truth is, once you know who you are, your life changes. You start competing with others and start competing with your own potential. You stop chasing validation and start chasing vision. You stop trying to impress and start trying to impact. That's when education becomes powerful, when it's not just about filling your mind, but about shaping your character. So today, stop trying to live up to everyone else's expectations and start living up to your own identity. Don't let the world define you by what you do. Define yourself by who you decide to become, because the real power in this life doesn't come from a title. It comes from knowing deep down exactly who you are. Let me tell you something. Real education doesn't start when you walk into a classroom. It starts when you start asking yourself the hard questions. Who am I? Why do I think the way I think? Why do I act the way I act? Because if you don't know, everything else you learn is surface level. You can master every book, every formula, every subject. If you don't understand your own heart, your own patterns, your own purpose, you're operating without direction. And the truth is, that's why so many people are educated but lost. They know facts, but they don't know themselves. You've got people walking around with degrees, certifications, experience, but they can't handle failure. They can't handle pressure. They don't know why they give up when things get hard. That's not a knowledge problem. That's a self-awareness problem, because when you know yourself, you start to understand what drives you, what drains you, and what defines you. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You don't just go with the flow. You start creating your own current. See, education teaches you how to make a living, but self-awareness teaches you how to build a life. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself. You can't fix what you refuse to face. Too many people are avoiding the mirror because they're afraid of what they might see. But that mirror, that truth, is your greatest teacher. You've got to learn how to study you. Learn your strengths so you can use them. Learn your weaknesses so you can work on them. Learn your triggers so you can control them. Because the moment you know who you are, no one else can tell you who to be. It's not just about IQ anymore. It's about EQ, your emotional intelligence, your ability to manage yourself. When life hits you, when people disappoint you, when the plan doesn't go the way you expected, can you still stand? Can you still operate with grace, discipline, and focus? That's what separates the educated from the unenlightened. It's not about how much information you hold, it's about how much understanding you apply. And I'm not saying this to sound deep. I'm saying it because it's real. You can't grow if you don't reflect. Some of you are so busy running to the next goal, the next degree, the next success that you never stop to ask, what am I learning about myself through this? Because every challenge is a mirror. Every failure reveals a version of you that needs to evolve. Every success shows you what's possible when you believe in your own potential. But if you're not aware, you'll miss the lesson that was meant to grow you. That's why self-awareness is the foundation of greatness. You can't control the world, but you can control you. And once you do that, once you master your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, you become unstoppable. You start moving differently. You stop blaming people. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for someone else to fix your life because you realize it's your responsibility. So when I talk about education, just talking about school, I'm talking about studying you. You are your greatest subject. Your potential is your textbook. Your experiences are your lessons. Learn yourself and everything else will make sense. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know yourself, you can't grow yourself. And if you can't grow yourself, you'll never reach the version of you that was meant to change the world. You've got to stop chasing popularity and start chasing purpose. Too many people wake up every day trying to be liked instead of trying to be effective. They spend their time worrying about who's watching, who's clapping, who's following, who's talking, and forget that none of that builds your destiny. See, you can be the most popular person in the room and still be empty on the inside because popularity feeds your ego, but purpose feeds your soul. Popularity makes you look good for a moment, but purpose makes you live good for a lifetime. Let's be real. We live in a world that rewards attention. You post something, you get likes. You wear something, people notice. You do something big, but when the applause stops, when nobody's commenting, when nobody's watching, what happens then? Do you still give it your all? Do you still move with the same energy, the same fire, the same commitment? Because that's where purpose shows up. Purpose doesn't need a crowd. Purpose doesn't need validation. Purpose just needs you to show up and do the work. The problem is, too many people are addicted to being seen, not to becoming something. You want recognition before transformation, but purpose requires patience. Purpose means working in silence when nobody believes in you. It means staying focused when others get distracted. It means saying no to what's easy so you can say yes to what's meaningful. Purpose demands sacrifice. You can't please everyone and still fulfill your calling. You can't chase likes and chase greatness at the same time. They don't live on the same road. Some of you are tired, frustrated, burned out, not because you're doing too much, because you're doing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. You're chasing attention, not alignment. You're trying to impress people who don't even know where they're going themselves. And every time you step off your path to follow the crowd, you lose a piece of your identity. But when you find your purpose, when you know why you do what you do, everything changes. You stop competing with others and start connecting with your own vision. You stop trying to prove yourself and start trying to improve yourself. Purpose gives your pain meaning. When you have purpose, rejection doesn't break you, it builds you. Failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Because you understand it's all part of the process. You realize every no is leading you closer to your whys. Every setback is preparing you for the breakthrough. That's what happens when you're living on purpose. Your motivation stops depending on mood or validation. You're driven by something deeper. Listen, popularity fades, but purpose lasts. The people who were cheering for you today might not be there tomorrow. The ones clapping might turn silent when you stumble. But when you're living with purpose, you don't need applause to keep moving. You move because you were born to. You move because there's something inside you that refuses to settle. You move because you know that your calling isn't a trend. It's your truth. So stop trying to be liked and start trying to be a light. Stop chasing who they want you to be and start walking in who you were meant to be. Purpose is not about being known by the world. It's about being true to yourself, even if the world doesn't notice. Because in the end, it won't matter how many people knew your name. What will matter is how many lives were changed because you lived your purpose. Discipline is the real separator. It's what draws the line between people who dream about success and people who actually live it. Everybody says they want it. Success, greatness, impact. But the question is, You willing to stay consistent when the excitement fades? Are you willing to show up when nobody else is watching, when it's not convenient, when it's uncomfortable? Because that's what defines who you are. Your habits, your choices, your commitment, those things tell the truth about you, even when your mouth doesn't. Talent might get you noticed, but discipline will keep you standing when talent isn't enough. Seen people with all the potential in the world lose it because they never developed the discipline to match it. They could perform when the lights were on, but when life got tough, when nobody was around to push them, they crumbled. That's why discipline is non-negotiable. It's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. You can have all the motivation in the world, but if you don't have discipline, you'll always fall short of your best self. See, motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation fades when you're tired. Discipline says, do it anyway. Motivation disappears when it gets hard. Discipline says, keep showing up. Discipline is that inner voice that doesn't care how you feel. It reminds you of what you promised yourself. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, it's not easy, but it's powerful. It's the quiet strength that builds champions, leaders, and world changers. And let's be real, discipline isn't fun. It's waking up early when you want to sleep in. It's studying when your friends are hanging out. It's saying no to distractions, no to excuses, no to shortcuts. It's doing the small, boring, difficult things every single day that most people avoid. But that's what shapes your identity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're telling yourself, I'm built different. I'm not here to be average. You're reinforcing the mindset of someone who doesn't just talk about dreams. They work for them. In life, you don't get what you want. You get what you're willing to work for consistently, and that work isn't glamorous. Nobody claps for you when you're putting in those unseen hours. Nobody posts about the sacrifices, the nights you wanted to quit, the days you pushed through pain. But those are the moments that define your character. Those are the moments that build your strength. Because when you can control your habits, you can control your destiny. Every disciplined choice is an investment in your future. You might not see the results right away, but discipline compounds. Every rep, every page, every hour, it stacks. And one day, you'll look back and realize that everything you've become was built brick by brick through the power of consistency. Discipline is the bridge between who you are now and who you're meant to be. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. You'll never feel ready. You just have to start and keep starting every single day. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about deciding that no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets, you're not quitting. Because greatness doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who work for it every day without excuses. In the end, your level of discipline will always reveal your level of desire. Pain is one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have. It doesn't come with a smile. It doesn't give you comfort. It doesn't hand you success wrapped in a bow, but it shapes you in ways nothing else can. See, everybody loves to win. Everybody loves the good days, the celebrations, the victories. But the truth is, you don't grow on the mountaintop. You grow in the valley. You grow in those seasons when nothing makes sense, when your plans fall apart, when life hits you so hard that you start to question who you are. That's where identity is formed. Pain introduces you to parts of yourself you didn't even know existed. When life is easy, you don't have to dig deep. You don't have to stretch your limits. You don't have to fight for your focus. When you face pain, when you get knocked down, betrayed, overlooked, rejected, that's when your real self shows up. Pain strips away everything fake. It reveals what's real. You can't fake strength when you're hurting. You can't pretend to be disciplined when everything in you wants to quit. Pain forces you to choose. Will I stay down, or will I rise up stronger than before? And that's why pain is necessary. Because without it, you'd never build resilience. You'd never develop character. You'd never understand endurance. Pain makes you honest. It teaches you patience. It gives you perspective. It humbles you. It reminds you that greatness isn't built in comfort. It's forged in struggle. Every scar you carry tells a story of survival. Every heartbreak, every failure, every sleepless night, those aren't moments of weakness. Those are the blueprints of strength. I know it's hard. I know sometimes you wonder, why me? But maybe the question isn't, why me? Maybe the question is, what is this trying to teach me? Because there's always a lesson hiding inside the pain. Sometimes the pain is showing you that you've been relying too much on people instead of believing in yourself. Sometimes it's showing you that you've outgrown your current level and it's time to evolve. Sometimes it's just preparing you for a version of success that requires a tougher version of you. When you change how you look at pain, it stops being punishment and starts becoming preparation. You start to realize that the setbacks were setting you up. The failures were forming your focus. The losses were leading you to lessons that no classroom could ever teach. That's real education, not just learning facts. Learning yourself through the fire. Because pain will teach you things comfort never will. You've got to stop running from pain and start learning from it. Let it mold you, not break you. Let it fuel you, not drain you. Every time life knocks you down, get back up with more wisdom, more fire, more discipline. You've got to understand that the struggle isn't there to stop you. It's there to strengthen you. It's preparing you for the weight of your destiny. You can't carry greatness with a weak mindset. You can't fulfill your purpose without first surviving your process. So stop hating the pain. Start honoring it. It's making you into something powerful. Every moment you thought was breaking you was actually building you. Every storm that came to shake you was actually shaping you. Because the truth is, pain doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. At the end of the day, the real question isn't just who are you, it's what are you leaving behind? Because life isn't just about what you achieve, it's about the impact you create. Too many people are chasing success, but very few are building legacy. Success is about you, but legacy is about the people who come after you. It's about the lives you touch, the hearts you change, and the example you set. That's what truly answers the question of who you are. Not your possessions, not your status, but the imprint you leave on others. You can't take the money, the trophies, or the fame with you when you're gone, but you can leave behind something that lasts longer than your lifetime. You can leave behind inspiration. You can leave behind a standard. You can leave behind a story that says, I didn't quit. I didn't fold. I stood for something. And that story might be the very thing that gives somebody else the courage to keep going when life gets hard. See, we're all writing a story every single day with the choices we make, the way you treat people, the way you show up, the way you live your values. That's legacy. It's not something you create once you've made it. It's something you're building right now in how you handle every opportunity, every obstacle, every relationship. You don't need to be famous to leave a legacy. You just need to be faithful. Faithful to your purpose, faithful to your principles, faithful to being the best version of yourself, even when it's not easy. Legacy isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the dark. It's built when you do the right thing when nobody's watching. It's built when you choose integrity over convenience. It's built when you keep your word. When you serve others, when you lead with humility instead of ego. You want to be remembered. Then start by living a life worth remembering. You have no idea who's watching you right now. No idea how your strength is inspiring somebody else to not give up. You have no idea how your consistency is giving someone hope. That's legacy. It's not about how loud you are. It's about how lasting your impact is. And sometimes you won't even see the results of it. You might not get the thank you. You might not see the full harvest. But trust me, the seeds you're planting today will outlive you if they're planted in purpose. Every generation needs someone to break a cycle, someone to change the narrative. Maybe that someone is you. Maybe you're the one who's supposed to show your family, your community, your circle what's possible when you stay true to your purpose. Maybe your legacy is to be the one who didn't quit when it got hard, the one who turned pain into power, the one who refused to settle. So don't live for the moment, live for the mark you'll leave behind. Don't just chase success, chase significance. Because when you live with purpose, you automatically create impact. When you live with integrity, automatically inspire others. And when you give your best to life, life will give its best back to you. Not in what you have, but in what you've given. Because in the end, legacy isn't about being remembered by many. It's about being remembered deeply by a few.